You have probably heard the name Roenick if you follow sports, but I bet you didn't know this name is not only synonymous with hockey, but also the sport of equine dressage. Brandi Roenick, daughter of Jeremy and Tracy, is making her own waves in Germany in the dressage ring with her young horse Escanto. Yes, that viral video of Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart joking about crip walking is exactly what she does. Today, she fills us in on the intense work that goes into making these horses dance, creating a global industry that creates jobs, relationships, and connection between human and horse. Now, let's get to business. Hey everybody, I am here with my very special guest today, Brandi Roenick, the dressage rider over in Germany. And we've got so many questions because German dressage and European dressage aren't talked about in the US. Like all of a sudden we have like people popping up at the Olympics and we know kind of where they came from. But Brandi's going to answer some of the questions for us today. Thank you for being here, Brandi.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's start at the beginning. How did you start in riding? And growing up as a little kid, how'd you figure out you wanted to ride horses?
I didn't really have an option. I was kind of born into it. My mom being an avid dressage rider back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. She and my father owned a training and sales stable in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I was just born into it. I lived in it, and I've been sitting on horses since I was wee big with my mom and her. So it was just naturally I was put into it. I got my first pony when I was a really young girl and rode around the yard with him. I started getting competitive in dressage though when I was about 7 and 8 is when I got my first dressage horse. And slowly over the years, as I started getting better and more advanced, and then my parents just were like, so this is the option. Now you're getting better. Are you going to stick with it? Or are you just going to stop doing it in a couple years because you get bored? And I was like, no, I want my ponies. I want to keep going. And in the end, I stuck through it and I went pro at 13 and over the years just kept continuing with it. So since birth, as long as I can remember, I've been around horses. I've been riding horses. And it's the only thing I really consider myself good at. So I've just stuck with it over the years.
We're glad you did. I'm totally glad you did because I wouldn't have you here today to talk about all this. Let's talk about mom and dad. Everybody knows dad, Jeremy.
Everybody knows.
But you just talked about mom too. Mom was a competitive dressage rider, and she is super gorgeous and supportive of everything you guys do.
Yes. My mom is, she's not really my mom. Everyone thinks she's more of my sister. But no, she's more retired on the riding side. She does a little bit of riding for herself, but she's not as involved in the riding portion competitive wise. Over the last years, she's working on it. She's getting back there, but she's more focused on training and developing her clients. We do a little bit of business together now. But yes, she's a really good dressage rider. She's considered one of the best on the West Coast. Maybe not at the international level, but she runs really good training businesses. Back in the 90s and 2000s, she was on the Pan Am shortlist. You know, she's done really well for herself, and she's a really good businesswoman. She's a really good trainer. She can see things that many people can't see, and she's super talented with the horses. So I was really lucky to be brought up with, you know, my dad as a professional athlete in the NHL and my mom as a professional dressage rider. You know, it was nice to grow up in that balance of a very competitive father and then also a competitive mother, but someone that I could um, thrive with and learn from and really understand the basic needs of what I need if I wanted to go further in this sport. So
now let's get to the horses. Escanto, your mighty steed.
Escanto.
Tell us about them, because every horse has a different personality.
Oh, where do I begin with Escanto? So I got Escanto coming. I'll have him 2 years in December. I'll have him 2 years in December. I got him at the beginning of 3. And when I sat on him the first time, when I was picking my stallions on what I wanted for the season, I sat on him the first time and I looked at my work colleague and I was like, this horse is going to be unbelievable. And I fell in love with him the second I sat on him. He is literally, he's like a dog. If I could put him in my bed, he would cuddle at night. He's you don't find horses like him. You know, he has the right ability, he has the character, and he has the work ethic, and he's beautiful. And to find a horse with all of those qualities and all those characters is like a diamond in the rough. Like, it's very, very difficult to find. And you know, as a stallion like him who breeds so much, he you can put him around mares. It's never a problem with him. And you know, he's a very busy breeding stallion, and it doesn't affect the work, and it makes it so nice to be around him because I trust him more than people. Like, I can go anywhere with him and not have to worry about anything. And he fights for me, and him and I have a very good relationship. He knows he's the king in my stable. He knows it, and he walks in my stable every day knowing it. He's very much attached to me, and I'm just as much attached to him. But he's a fighter, and he works really hard for me. And I've worked really hard on establishing that relationship with him. Because when I sat on him when he was fresh under the saddle, I knew that that was going to be a horse that if I got on my side, that I would have a pretty successful career with him. And so far, last year and this year, him and I, we've won everything together. You know, all the stallion performance tests, the Bundeschampionat, Raststätte, 2 of the largest competitions they have out here for young horses in Germany. But you know, I know him better than, I mean, I know all my horses really well, but I know him the best. I have the best relationship with him, and I think that's really important. And as we can see, you know, the relationship that we have established together, yeah, the wall speaks for itself. So it's a really good feeling. He's one in a million. You don't come across horses like him. So it's really great to have him in my stable.
The work ethic you just brought up, and you just said he's relatively young too, because dressage horses a lot of times do not peak until 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, so Escanto, he's coming 5 in January, so he's young. So there's a long way for him to go until we start doing Grand Prix work. But yeah, you know, for the young horses in Europe, we start them slowly around 3 years old, and then we build them up. So this coming year in January, we'll start working on the next level. And the movements are a little bit more challenging at 3 and 4. It's more of showing off the gaits of the horse, you know, the walk, trot, and the canter, the rideability. You're thinking more forward, letting the horse express itself in the movement, showing power and elegance and rideability. And then as you start to hit 5, 6, 7, that's when you start opening and picturing the goal for the next 5 to 10 years with the horse. How is the horse coming back? Is it going to handle, you know, collected work easy? Is it going to handle a little bit sideways easy? you don't pinpoint it too much, but that's when you start to move towards the next couple years of if you're going to see that horse potentially in the upper levels. Maybe not at the Olympics, but is it going to be a Grand Prix horse? Can it sit on its hind legs relatively easy? Does it have the talent to hold himself without so much asked from the rider? And there's some things that he does pretty good without me needing to ask. And so I think the horse has a really bright future. He's really talented. I have to constantly remind myself that he's an overachiever, and yeah, I take my time with him, and whatever I ask, he'll end up doing. But yeah, so next year we'll start playing with the next step and seeing where he's gonna be sitting in the next 5 years, goal wise.
And you said he's already breeding.
He's been breeding since last February, March.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when he came out, when we did our stallion, because during COVID, we weren't able to have live stallion presentations. So we were doing online presentations via video links. And so Escanto just kind of came out of nowhere. He just, poof, the video came out. Everyone was talking about him. And it was directly after the stallion presentation videos got released. It was like everybody wanted him. Everybody was talking about him. He just came out, and where everyone was like, where the heck did he just come from? And he's been a busy boy ever since. And I really take care with his work program, that because he breeds so much during the season, that he's not doing too much sport in the saddle in the weeks that he's breeding. But yeah, he's a pretty sought after stallion, and his father as well. I mean, his father is producing a lot of the top young horses in Europe right now. And I think you'll start seeing a lot more of them in America. They're not so popular in America at the moment. But Escamillo himself is actually owned by an American. So it's actually really good for the American dressage to have such a sought after breeding stallion doing so well here in Germany, producing top athletes. I mean, his daughter won the 4-year-old mares and geldings. His son won the 4-year-old stallions. In Ferrodin, it was the same. The daughter was undefeated. Escanto won. And then in all these other competitions, like you just had the highest sold, I believe it was at the Westfalen auction. I can't remember, but he just sold an Escamillo's son for a lot of money. And, you have an American over here riding one of the sons. You have American owned stallion over here. So yeah, I mean, for breeding wise, it's a very hot subject at the moment with these two stallions. So it's pretty cool.
Breeding is also another big business, not only with the dressage horses, but with the race horses, and especially being in Europe with a lot of big names over there like Zara Tindall that are into horses, and the royal family itself being into both, the dressage and the race horses.
Yeah.
Run-ins with all different kinds of people in those circles that are all competing against each other.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the line.
Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot, and there's a lot of money involved in the equestrian world. And it doesn't matter if you're jumping, if you're racing, if you're dressage, Western. Okay, Western's not so popular over here. It's been getting a bit popular over the years. But I mean, that's why I moved to Germany. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's a full economic business that funds the entire country almost. I mean, it's unbelievable. You ask people what's the biggest source of income in Germany, and most of the time you hear soccer and horses. So it's pretty cool. Or beer. Definitely. Yes, definitely beer. This is for sure. Yeah, my fiance can vouch for that as well. Beer.
And congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's a year in December already. Time goes by fast.
Congratulations. All right, let's shift to Paris 2024 and the big business that is dressage, because you guys are going to be busy, busy, busy with all kinds of stuff going on. Explain how you get qualified for your classes.
I'm not so sure on the qualification process for the Olympics, because
what you do, because you're a little different.
So what I do is not part of the Olympic process. We have more of for what I do, we have the Young Horse World Championships, which is something that you can consider like the Olympics of young horses. It's the biggest competition for young horses that we have here in Europe, to where all the best from all over the world come to compete for the medals. But we have that every year, so it's not as prestigious as the Olympics, which comes every 4 years. And from what I understand, with the Olympics, it's ever since they changed the dynamic of team selection, I haven't really understood it. They went from having 4 people on a team to 3 people on a team and 1 reserve, and it's calculated by points. And so for the Olympics, it's a little bit too complicated for my brain to understand how that works. I just know that the Olympics is going to be very interesting next year. I think we're going to see a gold medal from Britain. I mean, we pretty much already seen for the most part how it's going to go at the Europeans and Riesenbeck a couple weeks ago, with, Great Britain just came out with a bomb. Like, they showed up and they just cleaned house. Like, there was no questioning that. And they have such a strong team. I mean, you have Charlotte, Lottie Fry, Carl Hester, and I mean, just to get into the top 5, you needed to have over an 80%, just top 5. And the entire thing was almost all British, if you take out Jessica and Nana. But I think we're going to see a gold medal for Britain this year at the Olympics. I really have a good feeling about that, and I would love that for them, because I think that the British team is really strong and has some really good horses like Glamourdale and Charlotte's horse and Carl's horse. I think it's pretty competitive. I don't know if Germany's gonna take it. Germany might, depends on how Denmark does, but you never know with Denmark at the moment who's on what team and how that's gonna go. So
Germany's always up there, though. Always.
Germany they don't only breed horses, they breed machines as riders. Like the programs out here in Germany for developing their riders is amazing, and it shows. I mean, every single year on the podium. I mean, they have so many programs and expectations and what the riders need to do and what they need to have, and it shows. And that's why a lot of the young horses and the young horse programs we have out here are always making it up to the Grand Prix. So they have really serious ways of how they're going to develop their riders and develop their horses, because they want to see them at the Olympics and see them on the podiums. They don't want to just go for team medals. They want to go for individual medals. And almost at every single competition that Germany sends a team, they're always on the podium. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are good over there. And as we brought up Charlotte Dujardin and Carl Hester, we do have to extend our condolences to Carl, because he just lost one of his horses, didn't he?
His old team horse. I think 2012 Olympics he rode him. He just passed away from I think this horse was ill, and so it's unfortunate, because it was a really nice horse, and that horse was really, I remember seeing him live one time, and it was truly an incredible relationship between Carl and that horse. So
Let's talk about the relationship between the horse and the rider and some of the things that we see from people that don't quite understand the horses and the relationship between the horse and the rider. And we see it a lot in horse racing also, and talking about the abuse that these horses are taking. What do you say to the PETA people, the people that think that everything is abuse? What's going on?
it's a touchy subject because, there's bad eggs in every sport. There's bad eggs. It doesn't matter if it's with horses or with the cow farmer in the back. And I think that, an animal, at the end of the day, an animal isn't going to perform for you at the top level if it was really mistreated. And okay, there are some people in some situations, and I won't go down the road of that, but do cause a lot of problems for our future in the sport. And I think that the federations have to themselves, in order to protect our sport from people like PETA who complain about bits or try to do, we're adjusting to try to keep it neutral. We're changing what kind of bits can be used, how many spaces, how many fingers you can fit in nose bands, what equipment is okay, what equipment is not. And, in some areas, you have the TDs and everything really cracking down on it. In some areas, people don't take it so seriously. But at the end of the day, I think that if an animal, it doesn't matter whether it's in horse sports or in general, an animal's not going to work with you because that's a big animal. It's not like I'm sitting around on a Shetland pony. And even the Shetland ponies, they're a little bit more than, my big 17-hand stallion that I ride. But it's all about relationship. I think of my relationship with my horses as a relationship that I would want in my own home. How I think about it with my fiance. And if I don't have a good communication with my horses and a good understanding, and they don't trust me, then I won't be able to produce and go up the next levels. And the horses, they have emotions too. And I think that they should calm down a little bit on certain things and trust the process, that we love our horses too. We don't just get on them and think about money and medals. It's just, I could go and ride horses all the time and not have results from it and just enjoy my horses. I just do this as a career. But to just judge based off of a few bad eggs isn't fair for the people who truly invest their entire lives into these animals. It's a livelihood. I eat, breathe, sleep, sweat, cry, you name it. When I get a phone call, it doesn't matter if it's 2:00 in the morning, I'm out. Even if I don't put a shoe on, I'm at the stable. It's like, they need to understand that a lot of these people don't only depend on horses, as a career, but as a companion. Like, my horses are my babies. Like, they're my babies. And it's not all bad eggs in the sport. It's bad eggs everywhere. So don't judge all of us based off of all the media and Facebook and keyboard judges. They have nothing better to do. Really, that at the end of the day, that's it. They have nothing better to do. And you also can't take off, you can't make a judgment on photographs. I just had my engagement pictures done last week. We had over 900 photos. I got 20 of them because every picture was terrible. It's the same thing. You click the camera, you're in a movement, and the horse maybe has caught. You need video. You need to be able to see the entire thing. Anyone can take a bad picture and post it and be like, "Oh, look at that." It's a moment. There's a whole movement. There's a rhythm. And okay, maybe it doesn't look so nice, but you don't know what the before, the middle, and the after was of that. not in all situations, but in most situations. That's how I feel about that.
Let's bring up the very viral moment that Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart got a hold of talking about crip walking.
It was Isabel's was it the freestyle, the crip walking? Yeah.
But how good was that for the sport, though? That went crazy.
Yeah, it was super. I was actually really surprised. I wasn't expecting that, but of course it's Isabel. She's the queen of the sport. So I thought it was really good for the sport. And also another one to add on top of that, Stefan's rave horse as well. So it was really cool to see that, on TikTok platforms and all social media that, you had the crip walker and then you had the rave horse, and they both blew up. And I hope we can see more of that often. And I think that the more we include in like freestyles and stuff like that at our competitions, something more entertaining for somebody that doesn't know what they're looking at, I think we could see that more often. So.
Okay, explain to the audience what the freestyle is for the people that don't understand what dressage is.
Okay. The freestyle is you have a list of movements that you need to perform, whether it's for the international level, so whether that's your small tour or big tour, and you have to perform musics, but you get to create your own pattern. So you get to design your own test, and you get to match the music to your horse and ride to whether, for example, you have Stefan who has the rave horse. He created his pattern. You have to choose the level of difficulty. You can, and it has to be within 10 minutes. You have to do it in 10 minutes. And the judges, so the scores, the freestyle are also higher because you have a technical and artistic note. So the combination of those two scores is always a bit higher. Yeah, and I did my Young Rider freestyle with Waltino's Magic. I did that to The Dark Knight, Batman. And I did for Young Riders, I did a very hard pattern. I always like to kind of push my limits on things as far pushed as I possibly can, and like doing flying changes on broken lines to circles, and extended canters directly into pirouettes, halt, just as difficult as you can make it. The points go up, and of course you need to have music. You have to pick the music wisely, because if you have a judge that's not so into the rave horse music and finds it a little bit annoying, then maybe the points don't go high. But if you have a judge that loves the rave music, the point goes up. So you have to be very particular in how you match the music, that it matches your horse well and it's not obnoxious. There's not too much vocal, but it's really fun to ride the freestyle because it's your own, and you can really show the capabilities and possibilities that you and your horse can perform together outside the box. So it's really cool.
Now, putting all those dance moves together and all the music together and everything, I just saw a TikTok video of your dad dancing on ice. Who's got the better dance moves, Escanto or your dad?
Ooh, I have to say Escanto has a little bit more flow.
Oh,
but Escanto has a little bit more freedom in his stride. My dad's a little bit stiff. He needs a little bit more loose.
Is there any, horses love music? I've never met a horse that doesn't like music. Is there any particular music Escanto likes?
Honestly, no. I wouldn't say that there's particular music that Escanto likes, but he definitely, if I'm in the arena and he likes more of a pumped up when a song with a really good beat comes on, you can feel that he gets a little bit like, ooh, it wakes him up a little bit. I wouldn't say he has a particular taste in music, but you can definitely feel that when there's a little bit more of an exciting energy in the sound, he gets a little bit more power under him. A
Does he keep like the cadence with it a little bit better?
little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's me too, because I'm also up there, like, and so it's a whole groove, it puts you in the mood. So I think he feels that my energy is good. Sometimes I'm sitting on the horse, and when there's not anyone around, I'll do my own karaoke up there. And I think because, it perks me up, it perks him up, and the music's good. And okay, when the other riders are in there, I don't do it because I think they'd be a little bit concerned about if something was wrong. But when I'm in the arena alone and there's a good song on and I'm up there, yeah, the horse dances with me. He likes it. I like it. It makes it fun.
Well, but you brought up before that you guys are a team and you do feed off of each other. And that's the biggest part of having a selection of a teammate in the horse industry, is that you guys get along.
Yeah, it's really important. The horse, I know directly when I walk into the arena, just from the first few steps, the kind of ride I'm going to have on him. And I know that when I am not in a way of being able to 100% focus on him, because I'm thinking about something else, or maybe I'm tired or in a bad mood, or I have pain somewhere, I really try to limit what I do with him, because he feeds off of my energy so bad. And when he knows that I'm in a bad mood, he's like, you know what, he's going to tell me we don't really have to work today because you're grumpy. You need to get off my back and take a break. And, and so it's really important for me that him and I can read each other like that. I know when he's not in the best mood, and I can be like, you know what, today we're not going to do anything crazy, just a little bit easy work and then finish. And when I'm in a bad mood, you can feel with him, he's like, you know what, don't push it today. We do easy and finish. And it works really well for us. Like, we really feed off of each other. And I can directly tell when he's standing in my tack up box waiting for me. Normally when he sees me, he gets really excited and he's pawing the ground and, reaching out for me. And so when I have that excitement out of him, I know he's ready. And then there's days where he's a little bit quiet and I know that he's tired from breeding or from something else, and that it has to be a simple day with not so much expectation, and to keep him happy, that he understands that I understand him. So
what can we see in the future for Brandi, for Escanto? Are there any other horses that are coming in the picture?
I have a stable full of really nice horses. It's hard for me with my other ones to predict the future because, they're always coming and going. I sell quite a few horses. So I could make a plan with one and then a client comes, falls in love with it, and then it goes. But I have a lot of really nice horses. All of them are actually 4 coming 5. So I have a lot of horses coming for the next level next year. And with Escanto, it's step by step. His happiness and willingness to work is the most important for me. So when he's ready for the next step, we have some goals in mind, and we see how that direction will go. And if all is in order as it is now, then we'll shoot for those goals, but we won't announce those goals until later next year, or early in the next year. But with my other ones, I'll start taking them out again. Our show season, our outdoor show season just ended, and now the indoor season's starting. So all the ones that didn't get to go to the show this summer, I will now start taking them to the smaller shows in the winter. And I have some really cool horses. I have a really nice group of horses in my stable. So I think my goal next year is definitely to have, this year I had 3 horses going, which was really good because last year I had a really bad season. And I told myself that this season I was going to give everything I had and really win everything, or at least try to win everything I entered. And I proved myself that when I think like that, I can make it happen. And I did that with quite a few horses this season, which made me really motivated. And next year, yeah, I have a whole stable of 9 horses that are ready to go out and show themselves. And I'm hoping that I have more than just Escanto, at the top. And I have a really good group of people behind me. I have 2 very good trainers that are really motivated in developing me, and we make a good team. And I think that next year will also be really good for me. I'm staying positive for it. I have good feelings. I'm motivated for it. It's been a long 6 years out here fighting for my place, and now I think I'm on the tip of the iceberg, and now I can really run with it. So yeah.
Where can everybody follow you on social media to make sure that they keep their fingers crossed for you and we're all behind you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Mostly I'm on my Instagram. I also have a TikTok where I post all of my videos, but I'm mostly active on my Instagram account.
All righty. Brandi, thank you so much for being here with us and telling us everything about what's going on in Europe, because like I said, we don't get to see much of that. We get to see some of the things that are going on in dressage in America, but I think everybody needed to know what's going on over there too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an entirely different world, but I think that slowly dressage, from what I do, is getting a little bit more popular in the USA. You have a lot of really good riders coming up now, like in the young, like you have all these top U25 riders starting to come into their first senior Grand Prix. And it's going to be interesting. I think right now it's a little bit, everyone's not sure. It's a little bit plateaued, but I think that US dressage is going to be in a good way, and hopefully we'll see what happens. But I hope that the European dressage world continues to influence a little bit of American dressage. So because it system works, it's proven to work. It's proven to work. So
as you said, it's $1 billion industry too. So, and it's not going anywhere.
well, and it brings people like me out here, and it's the best. If you want to be good and you want to be something, you come out here to Europe. I try to tell every young girl or boy that wants to be something in the sport, come out to Europe, find a stable, work. I mean, when I first came out here, I was an assistant to a jumping rider. I was riding jumping horses my first year here. And then I got my big break at Paul's. And I went to Paul's, and they're like, and yeah, we tried. Every single day I came to that stable, I was like, you know what? I have to prove to these German people that this little American really can do a good job. I just need someone to show me the way, point me in the direction, and get out of my way. And I think this season I developed and I changed a lot. And now I'm going full force at it. But I think that a lot of American youth riders should come out here, even if it's for a summer, and experience, the dirty work that goes into it and what you have to do, because it's real dirt and grit out here. It's not dandies and butterflies. Like, these people out here work, and they work their butt off, and it shows. And I think that a lot of the youth can come out here, learn something, and bring it back to America and help strengthen the sport out there. So I hope that more people take advantage of it, because it's you will definitely learn to appreciate the industry more when you have to do all of the dirty work to get to the top. It makes you appreciative of the outlook.
That is absolutely so true. Well, I am going to let you get back to your horses. And thank you again so much for taking the time out. I'm Tatiana Ryan. This is Brandi Roenick. We have been talking dressage, and this is the Businessy Podcast.